is Ashley
and Brittany.
and this is New Beginnings in the City. And today's Motivation Monday, where each one of us will tell you guys a story about a time when we felt super duper tested in our situation, and hopefully what we say today will motivate you in some special and extraordinary way. So, Brittany, do you want to kick it off, or do you want me to start?
Sure. So, I think my motivational story would have to be around the time when I moved here. So, we live in LA right now, and we're both from Georgia. And I moved out like a couple years ago, about 2.5 years ago, and for an internship. I studied fashion design. Came to LA to do my internship and all that. I was working at JCPenney as well, part time. And then once the internship was over and I needed to find work, I started applying for different jobs, going on interviews, and came upon, for one, I received a job offer for this place, and something happened. They called me and were like, "Oh, well, we're taking it back." They ended up not offering me the job, so that was a bummer. But I didn't let it get me down, so I kept on applying for things. And another role came up with this. I didn't realize what it was at the time, but it was like a telemarketing job, and went in an interview for that, got that job. I started like in like 3 days. And it was definitely not what I expected it. I expected it to be. I did it for like a week, and just end up quitting because I feel as though like when you're working, I mean you're there more than you're home, so you want to be happy, and you want to be in a good mind state, and it just wasn't. I mean, I'm not. That telemarketing thing is for the birds. Like it just wasn't for me, and I just couldn't do it. So I ended up quitting that job. I mean, I still needed money to pay bills and stuff, but my sanity and my happiness, I felt like was better. And I had already stepped out on faith coming to California after high school, which my professor after college. Sorry. And my professor is the one that kind of pushed me to come to California. So it was already tough doing that, but you got to step out on faith if you want something different, if you want your career. So and that's what I did. So I quit that job, and a recruiter had already reached out to me like a few weeks before I had started that job in regards to a job in LA. And mind you, I was in Orange County at the time in Santa Ana, so we're in LA now. But anyways, he had reached out to me for a job based in LA that was within my career field, not exactly just being a fashion designer or designing, but it was working with marketing and trim and branding and stuff like that for different fashion labels. And I would say about a week and a half later after I quit, I got the call that that the company wanted to interview me. So went to the interview and all that stuff, and I felt like it went okay. I want to say a few days passed by, and I got the call saying that I had gotten the job and everything. So I was ecstatic about that. Happy to get that. Even though it was a temp role, it was only supposed to be for 3 months. But and I won't go into all of that. But moral of the story is, if you have to go with your gut and step out on faith to kind of do things that are going to make you happy, because life is short. And and you want to be happy with whatever it is that you do, and just go for what you feel is right, and it'll all work out. And as long as you're doing pound the pavement to really make things happen, then you'll at the end of the day you'll reap the benefits of what you've been working towards. And fast forward to now, I was let go as a temp for that company, which was a bummer. However, about 2 months after that, I was called back for another position, a permanent role. So I'm with the company now. It'll be a year in December. So, whatever's for you will be for you.
Absolutely.
You just have to keep the faith. Don't let, things get you down. And sorry, y'all, that's my dinner alarm. It's almost time to eat. But anyways, um, yeah, that's would be my motivation for you guys is to just keep it going, like keep the faith, like it will happen. You just have to make sure that you are working towards it. Whatever you put into the universe, you will get back.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I guess that's wraps up mine.
Well, well, for me, I think my inspirational, motivating story comes from when I was in graduate school. I just graduated from Savannah College of Art and Design with my MFA in Performing Arts. And anyone knows anything about an MFA program, you have to do a thesis. For my program, that included a performance and a paper. The performance went great. The performance part was probably the easier part of it because that's what I do as an artist. I perform, I write, and so even though it was definitely difficult putting it all together, but it was easier than the paper process. When the paper process came, I felt intimidated immediately. Not to say that I'm not a good writer, but knowing that I have to write a paper that's 20, 25 and onward pages was intimidating at first. And so when we went into doing our first draft, I got some feedback from my professor, and she blatantly said, Ashley, if you don't fix this, you won't graduate and you won't get your degree. Literally hit me like a brick wall. Like, not only is, this is my first draft, we're not even in the near process of turning in our thesis, but this is someone who's also on the committee of my thesis. And so I have someone who's basically supposed to be in my corner telling me not even 3 months down the line to when we get close to the finish line that I'm about to fail. And so that took me aback. I definitely, was very upset about that. I had my moments where I cried about it. And not only did I have to have my thesis, but on top of that, working and still having to go to rehearsals. And, but I couldn't let her words defeat me because she didn't have the last say so. God had the last say so. And so that's what I had to remember in that moment, that I was God's child first. I was God's child first. And as long as that I was putting in the work, then it was going to get done. So I took that as motivation to prove her wrong, because in that essence, that's not, if that was her way of motivating me, it worked, because I kicked it into high gear and I literally went so hard on this paper. I would stay, oh my gosh, I would stay up until the wee hours of the morning. I would have to take my nephew to school almost every morning around 6 o'clock. And I would stay in the library on campus until 3 o'clock working on my thesis. Then go home, maybe go to sleep for like an hour and a half or so, wake up, get my nephew ready for school, take him to school, and then I go to school. And I did that almost every day until my thesis was done. And for me, it was a testifying moment. It was a liberating moment because I could say that I put the work in. I didn't let a naysayer or someone who was basically telling me at the beginning that this wasn't going to be something that I was going to be successful in deter me from doing what I needed to do. And throughout that process, it wasn't until the very end, until I turned in my very last draft of my paper, where she said, this is good. This is good work. Like, up until that very moment, it was still negative, to the point where I felt like I had to go to my chair of my department and reach out to him, because I didn't feel like she was really pushing me in a positive direction. And I felt like I would have to drop her as a thesis committee member on my paper and switch her to someone else. That's how bad it got. I didn't just cry on one day. I cried on multiple days. But I knew that failure wasn't an option. and I knew that I had to do what I needed to do in order to succeed. And so sometimes that means that you're going to have to stay up some late hours. You may not get any sleep. You may have to go into work and then go back to the library, and then go back to school, and then go back to work. You know what I mean? Like, those are the things in life that make or break your faith. And if you're being tested in your faith and you overcome it, then you know you did what you needed to do. And I feel like that's kind of what the same thing that Brittany was saying, is that sometimes you have to stand in your faith, not only step out on faith, but stand in your faith. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, you still have to stand in it, because you have to trust God's will. And, you know, some people who watch this may not be believers. And right now, we're not trying to force anybody to be a believer, but for us, we know that without our persistent faith in God and what we do in life, nothing is possible. So if that maybe inspires someone to maybe kind of to look to a higher source to say, I'm not in this alone. I'm not accomplishing these things alone. If I feel defeated, I know I can call on to someone, then we've done our job. You know what I mean? For us, it's just about motivating. That's what Motivation Monday is. It's just about putting a testimony out there for you all, so you guys can kind of see, you know what, I can do this, whatever it is. Brittany literally graduated from college and had a one-way ticket to LA and never looked back. She had trials in between that moment, absolutely, but she stood in her faith. And I feel like that's the guys that we all need to look into right now, especially with everything that's going on with the presidential election and everything else in this world. It's about knowing that you have to stand in the faith of knowing that it will get better as long as you do the work. Work without faith is dead. You got to do the work. So, yeah.
Yep.
That is our Motivation Monday for you all. Hopefully you took something great from it.
Absolutely. And we'll, like she said, we'll be doing this every Monday. We'll come to you with a story or maybe some positive affirmations that you can apply to your life and things like that, you know, just to, you know, keep you going, because people need that.
Yeah,
you know, they
absolutely.
need that positivity in their lives to keep them going and things like that. And also we will have, once our channel grows and things like that, we are working on, you know, different t-shirts and things like that for our Nubians in the City brand. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, this is a movement. This isn't just, you know, something that we're putting together for YouTubes and hope to, you know, we want to be successful in it, but at the end of the day, this is bigger than us.
Right.
You know, we want to use this platform to really go far and beyond what the mind can see and what people would think. And so for us, it's just about going out and reaching the people, both of us in our different areas, with her, both of them being artistic areas, but using those platforms in order to be even bigger than what we could even imagine. So
absolutely.
So y'all,
thank you for watching.